Today we're hiking at the Stebbins Cold Canyon Reserve. This is about 40 some miles west of Sacramento, up in the hills to the west of Sacramento and Davis. This land is owned by the University of California, but it's open for hiking. We'll be hiking up the trail up to that ridge up there, where we'll get a good view overlooking Lake Berryessa and the dam, the Monticello Dam. This is where the water of Cold Canyon Creek goes underneath the road, underneath the highway. This is a toyon, or California holly. Poison oak can be pretty abundant here in the warmer months of the year. Today's hike is a loop, and you can see the parking area where we started. We start heading right up the hill. We've got about a 800-foot elevation gain to the ridge. We're about 2/3 of the way up the hill here, and you can see the parking area where the trailhead is, just down in the canyon there. We've reached the overlook, and here you can see Lake Berryessa, which is actually a reservoir. And then coming down the canyon here, we get our first glimpse of the dam, the Monticello Dam, that created this reservoir. Here's the Monticello Dam, and then in the lower portion of the picture you can see the glory hole, which when the reservoir is at capacity, the water will go down the glory hole. From up here on the summit, you've got some pretty good views. On a really clear day, you can see through that notch in the hills, you can see Davis and Sacramento. And on a really clear day, you could see the Sierra Nevada mountains in the far distance. The little spur trail that comes off of the main loop trail to get out to this viewpoint is very rocky and treacherous. But if you don't want to do this portion, you don't have to. We're up on the ridge now, and you've got a good view of Lake Berryessa here. Off to the left is the Berryessa Marina. There's a lot of sports fishermen and water skiers in the warmer weather that use this lake. And there's a bench up here where you can sit and get a good view of the lake. We're up on the ridge now, and this section of the trail has a series of up and down peaks that we have to traverse. The trail, as you can see, goes right along the ridge line here. If you come to do this hike, be aware that the weather can be a major factor. This hike is way too hot to do during the summer and the warmer months. It's the middle of January now, and I'm already hot. Here's an example of some of the rocky areas that you have to traverse on this trail as you go along the ridge line. Here's the view looking back along the ridge line where we just hiked from. Here we're walking along the ridge line. This total distance around the loop on this trail is 5 miles. But it actually seems like it's much more because of the challenging nature of the hiking. Here's the overhanging rock. If you're very adventurous, you can get a selfie of yourself on the overhanging rock. This is the trail junction with the Annie's Loop Trail, which would take you another 2 3/4 miles. We're not going to do the Annie's Loop Trail today. So we came down the Homestead Loop, Blue Ridge Trail, and this is the junction with the Annie's Loop Trail. We're headed down the trail into Coldstream Canyon. You can see a number of dead trees here. There were a couple of really big wildfires here back in 2015 and then another one in 2020. That one in 2020 killed a lot of the trees and they have not come back. So these are some remnants of the dead trees from the forest fire. Here's an example of the switchbacks coming down the hill on the trail. We can see quite a few dead trees here from the fires. Here's one of the larger trees that was killed in the fire. We're down in Cold Canyon now, and you can hear the stream is running pretty strong right now. This is the location of an old homestead which was owned and operated by the Vlahos family. They had sheep and cattle up here. Here you can see an old stone wall that was probably part of the homestead when the Vlahos family was here. Down here in the canyon, there's several of the trees that did survive the fire. You can see from the tree trunks that they did get burned, but they did manage to stay alive. Here you can see the ridge where we were hiking about an hour or so ago, and then this is the trail that we're going back to the trailhead in Cold Canyon. And here's one of the fire victims. Here's where we have to cross the stream by hopping on the rocks. So we've completed the 5-mile loop and we're back at the trailhead, and we're parked just across the road here. Thanks for watching, and hit the like button if you found the information useful or enjoyable.